Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, get your pen and your pad ready. All the way from DC, I have Dionna Dorsey. Hey, did mess that up. Districtofclothing.com. She's going to talk about her business, what inspired it all the way from DC, how she started, how you two in your own region, as long as you're not in DC, because you know DC might start set tripping on you. How you can do it too. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. I want to, you have a company that when I saw it, I'm like, wow, this could be like a regional hit. And I want to get into what inspired you to do this and how it could even turn global, because sometimes when something hits regional, the whole world says, and the whole world loves the DC, no matter who's in office. So,
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kellen. The goal is definitely to take this globally. We indeed started off as a regional brand, but and that was very much a part of the marketing ploy. But I think, the goal is to expand it and to reach as many districts as possible. So it was 2014, January 2014, I had an idea, kind of woke me up in the middle of the night, had this vision of, in a dream, the dreamer and the doer with the dreamer crossed out. And I very quickly woke up, jotted it down, and kind of slept on it for a little while, no pun intended. And then my prime client went on a spending freeze. I'm a full-time entrepreneur. So my main business is Dionna Dorsey Design. We are a creative direction, brand strategy, and marketing firm. And my prime client went on a spending freeze. I realized whoa, I'm, definitely one of those statistics on CNN at this point, and how do I continue to move forward? How do I make it through the rough months that were shortly coming ahead? At that point, I was constantly listening to various podcasts, and, everyone was talking about side hustles and passive income. And I thought, why not do this for yourself? It took me a few more months. It wasn't until November. I actually launched on Thanksgiving Day in 2014. And the goal was to, provide passive income for myself, which by all means is not initially passive. And even still today, it's not passive. The business has grown, glory to God, so much in the last few years, but it is passive in the sense that you don't have to consistently do something every day, I should say. I say all that to say that I was wanting to put out positivity back into the universe. I've lived a very blessed life. And I also was just constantly surrounded by folks that were dreaming and doing and thinking of things. And then the next time you would see them at brunch or lunch or dinner, they were already moving on those things. And I was just incredibly inspired by that. Which shows, in the dreamer doer illustration, it's showing a progression. And here we are today, 5.5 years later, with a side hustle that's really not a side hustle, but my sweet baby District of Clothing. I hope that answers your question.
It does, and I want to go deep on so many of those things, because people always talk about, especially in multi-level marketing, you want to make passive income. And so now there's this thing with, especially young entrepreneurs, I'm getting into entrepreneurship to make passive income. But can you talk about how much work and how much time, especially if you have, one business and then you kind of have another project that's branched off, how much time does that take you in a week to, make that work?
Isn't it 21 Savage that has that song a lot? That's there's really no other way to say it other than a lot. I always kind of chuckle at myself when I say the District of Clothing is my side hustle business, because she's really not. And I call her she, but she is a full, bona fide certified business that takes a lot of time and effort and attention, and she's requiring more, and I'm trying my best to pivot toward giving her that. And the idea of passive income, I think it sounds great, but in all actuality, we really need to be honest with each other as entrepreneurs, and especially younger entrepreneurs, and understanding that, one, you have to have a skill that, is not passive, right? You have to attain a skill in the first step. You have to make sure that you're able to use that skill and present it in a way that will allow you to potentially have, air quotes, passive income. But as you get moving throughout your business or your idea, there's almost nothing passive about it, because you still have to maintain, you still have to pay taxes, you still have to, keep in touch with your customers, you still need to be social on, active on social media. You need to encourage, people to want to be a part of your community. You need to do ad buys. Like it is passive in the sense that I may not have to do something with it every single day, but there's still something that I have to do with it every single day, which in itself is also a blessing. It lets you know that you're progressing and that you're growing. I'm sure that there are some side hustles that do provide totally passive income. I can't think of any of them, but I mean, even if you're, renting, if you're a homeowner and you're, renting out your place to someone, you're still collecting that payment, you're still paying taxes, you're still making sure that property is well maintained. So off the top of my head, nothing's kind of coming to my head, but yes, she's a side hustle. That's really not a side hustle. Passive income, that's really not passive. I work hard with District of Clothing. There are times when I may only get to put in like 2 hours a day, an hour a day to 2 hours a day. There's other days when I'm putting 14 hours a day in. And it really is just a matter of me living a healthy, unbalanced life. I don't like that term balanced life, because I think you have to pay attention to what needs the most attention at that time. But I think in general, passive income sounds great, but it's probably not totally passive.
Okay. And I've written books and produced and whatever, directed whatever movies, and you get it feels like it, but you're like, I put work in, and that royalty check isn't what sometimes people think it is. I remember DJ Vlad saying, "Hey, I got my $3 Boondock check." And it's like, okay, that's royalties are going to come like that. Now, what's the difference between your main business and this new business of yours?
So Dionna Dorsey Design is what I consider my main hustle. It's a creative direction business. We offer branding, marketing, strategy, and pretty much anything creative that a client may need. We also help with developing merchandise as well for clients. And I've had that business for 10 years now. She turned 10 in January.
Okay, she's a she too. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay, so I'm talking to a fellow. We have all the titles. Whenever you do what you do, you get all the titles, all the hats, because most people don't separate, from your marketing, your strategy to your PR, and so you're in that. And then you said, let me put this out. And when you put out District of Clothing, it has a lot of talk about the positive messages, like the Trust Black Woman messages, and why did you decide to go that route?
Yeah, I think that's just me being my most authentic self. Like I said, I wanted to put out positive messages. I wanted to combat any sort of negativity that I could possibly. I, strongly believe that our clothes aren't going to change the world, but the people who are wearing them are. And our community is, growing stronger and more inclusive every day. And I just want to be able to encourage people to go beyond dreaming, to go beyond just like ideas that they have in their head. I strongly believe that if something comes to you, that's because you had the ability to bring it to fruition. And that's just part of who Dionna Dorsey is. I've always I've always loved being encouraged, and I like to put that, to put that back out into the world. I feel like, as a young girl, like, when I would put on a dress, or when I would put on whatever the item was, it made me feel a certain way. And I think that whenever you're wearing, positive messaging, or whenever you're wearing something that's repping something that you love or something that you respect, you can't always say exactly how you're feeling, or people, you're not always going to be able to communicate with everybody that you're seeing. But if you're wearing something, that's a different way to get your statement and your values across. And it's just, I believe in, I believe in believing in strongly what I believe in, and I believe in projecting that out as best as possible. And I believe in progression, and allowing people to move forward, and encouraging people to be whomever it is that they've been put on this universe, to be, encouraging people to get to that next step to help them to keep going.
And I want to make it clear that, before all these protests happened, I mean, you had this. This wasn't something where during COVID and, the whole George Floyd and the protests, you said, hey, let me just start this because I can. I mean, you've been pushing this, for years, because people sometimes, even though you've said it, when this started, that this is not just something that, boom, you did it and now everything's falling into place. You've really been putting in your time and your work. Can you talk about, in building this second business, how important a team has been?
That's a great question. Let me take a step back and just say, yes, like I said, I really believe strongly, and believing strongly in what you do, right? And you should allow that to, believing strongly in how you feel, and you should allow that to encompass everything that you do. And so, I was born in Virginia, raised in Washington, D.C., as well as Pittsburgh. And I have always believed and thought that Washington, D.C. should have statehood. So we've had our number 51 hats for maybe 2 years now. I want to say we launched that in January 2018, I believe. And, when people saw the mayor wearing her 51 hat, Mayor Bowser of Washington, D.C., a couple of weeks ago during her COVID, one of her COVID press conferences, I think it happened to be a rainy day, and she, put the hat on, but also she put the hat on because she believes that Washington, D.C. should have statehood. So it's, I want to press upon anyone who's listening that if you believe strongly in something, you can also incorporate that into, and you should incorporate that into your organization or your business's culture, or your new entity's culture, because it will allow you to also organically connect with belief-driven consumers, which will allow your business to continue to move forward. And that's just a little marketing gem I want to put out there. And your question was, please remind me, I'm so sorry.
About how important a team has been. Yes. In building.
This is something that I've been struggling with for quite some time. So my team is primarily myself. But there have been times when, I have people who are constantly helping with our pop-ups. I have what I consider a board, who help me with all of my large, business decisions. My fiance is incredibly helpful to me on a day-to-day basis, especially, just in these last couple of months dealing with the PPP. My dad is just tremendous and has always been really very helpful with me and helping me to better understand business and how to continue to move forward. He's also an attorney, so he helps me on legal fronts as well. And then I'm incredibly inspired by our community of dreamers, doers, and change makers. And so I think while it's oftentimes me here working alone on things, I have a huge organization that is full with community members who also believe in these same things. And they're the ones who are constantly posting and sharing and telling other people about the items. I would say that like our community is like part of our marketing, because they, in our advertising team, because they do this organically on their own. And I'm so grateful that they've continued to be sharers of the good news of our, this growing company.
And you said, this is something you have been struggling with. And is that because, is it hard to find good help? Or is it just, when you're starting something, income is like, okay, I can get this quality of, designer, and I tell people all the time, hey, start at Fiverr, free shout out to Fiverr.com. Start there, and then you can, build up. And there's some great people on Fiverr too. Great people
Absolutely.
on both sides.
Yeah.
But what has the struggle been?
Yeah, I would say, the struggle is, like you said, it's, you want to make sure that you're providing, if you have team members, you want to make sure that you're providing them with adequate wages. You would love to be able to provide them with something full time. You would absolutely love to be able to provide them with healthcare. And that's challenging when you're first starting off. I haven't received or gone the financing route just yet. That's something that we might consider in the future, but it's not here now. And so it's essentially me doing things. We've had, interns and assistants here and there, but nothing full time. I do have to shout out our fulfillment partner, Printful. They've been incredibly helpful. I think we've been working together now for over 4 years. Oh, okay. I see. Yep. Here too.
Yeah,
and here's the dog making an appearance.
Yeah, we use them too. That's
yeah, they're amazing. Printful is amazing. And so, they've really been a partner that's allowed me to not just continue to grow the business, but to continue the business, especially during COVID. The ability to still accept orders and to get orders out. If it weren't for my partnership with Printful, then District of Clothing would be shut down right now.
Oh, okay. No, that's good. And I'm gonna, just put it out there because I talk about it so often. I don't want to pay people's health insurance. We have, a few businesses here, and some are in healthcare, and some, my main thing is consulting, but I don't want to pay for people's insurance. I'd rather hire entrepreneurs because there's so many different ways where they can handle, especially if you can pay them, a more than fair wage, they can handle all that. The same way I don't want to handle somebody's vacation. And there are bigger companies that do things like this, where it's like, I don't want to be responsible for your whole life, but I'm going to pay you so you can pay for your own. Because that old model, I think, eventually will die out, where we're asking Massa, please, can I get the Blue Cross or the Blue Shield? Because there's so much competition. And so, don't think you got to pay for that. And then they can,
Excuse me.
Yeah, have to pay for their unemployment when they want to leave. And, so many people leave jobs like that. And now you have so many people who won't even go back to work, some, because they're making more money now than they were making, which I think is, it just shows, it shows a lot. But, with the clothing line, we always hear, folks like Dame Dash, or you hear, people say, clothing is expensive. You hear Damon John, clothing is expensive, and everything that you're doing is kind of, is it, drop ship type method that you're using, and how have you, priced yourself to where it seems like now you could charge $100 for a shirt, and if people like it, they'll buy it.
Yeah, I think that's very true. So my background is in fashion design. I was trained in at Istituto Marangoni in Milan, and I believe in charging fairly for whomever is helping on the back end in terms of manufacturing and production. And I also believe in not overcharging consumers. But I, so with Printful, they handle all of our online fulfillment. And then I also have what I call a local production. That's another manufacturer production facility that I have. They handle all of our wholesale. And prior to this COVID situation that we're dealing with now, I was in the process of moving all of our production to Los Angeles so that we would have a greater variety of design opportunities, for our apparel and for the ways in which I would like the business to continue to grow. And hopefully we'll still be able to do that. But I think typically, if someone's ordering online, they're going to get something in a timely fashion through Printful. My wholesale clients, we order through our, what I again call local manufacturing. And then the goal is to be able to expand that so that we'll also be able to have a wider variety of items that we can offer our customers.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you two questions in the kind of the same just flow of things. I want to know, and if you can share with people, one, how did you get the mayor to wear your product? Because that's not something everybody can do and say, hey, mayor, can you wear this? And mayors wear what they want to wear, and usually it's not hats. And also in that, because I believe that you're tied in. I was getting this whole vibe, the new school of an old school, like Whitley Gilbert, Virginia-based, studied all over. You said you had a blessed life, but also, after you tell us, how did you get the mayor to wear your clothing? What is your community give back that you want to do or that you are currently doing now?
Mm-hmm. So I think this kind of ties back into what we were saying about belief-driven consumers and having a belief-driven community, because we're not just, putting out any sort of basic message. Like these are messaging. This is messaging that people feel connected to. But I just very easily, like anyone else could, I printed a hat and I shipped it to the mayor's office with a handwritten note. And, it's really about allowing people to understand that, like, you have no limits, right? So if you want to send a hat to, give me a celebrity, I don't know.
Damon John.
If you want to send a hat to Damon John, you find Damon John's work address, or you connect with someone. There's a way to find an email address. You send an email. If you don't get a response, hopefully you'll get a response. If you don't get a response, you can still always find, an address. And if you do a handwritten note and you ship something and someone connects with the messaging that you have or with the item, they're going to wear it. Like I said, the mayor's office actually purchased these hats in, I believe it was like February. So I think we launched, I'm not totally sure, but I think in January 2018 and March 2018, it was the 50th anniversary of the March to Selma, where John Lewis and other civil rights leaders crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And we had a congregation from Washington, D.C. that was going down, and they wanted to show, like, hey, we believe in statehood. We are Washington, D.C. How can we do that? And their suggestion was, let's wear this 51 hat. But that was because I sent the hat to the mayor's office. It's also because we have a growing community here in Washington, D.C. People are wearing our items. It's amazing to be able to walk outside prior to COVID. And, almost every single day I see someone wearing District of clothing, or someone sends a message, or someone's posting a photo. So, like I said, social media, our own community, if they feel pride and they're excited about what they have, they're going to post pictures about it. They're going to tell other people about it. And if it resonates with something that they believe strongly in, that they're going to want to connect with it. And, whatever, if you are a gamer and you're coming up with like really cool gaming apparel, and I don't know anything about gaming, so I apologize, but if you happen to know like a big gamer, you can reach out to that person or reach out to their team, or you can reach out to them via social media and you just send it. Like you don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but you don't know what can't happen. You know what I mean? I think the sky's the limit. And we've done that more than once. I've done that. If I have an idea of someone I'd like to wear something, like I will continuously reach out to that person or send DMs or whatever to try to connect with someone either directly or via their team so that they can hopefully have an item from us. And it's a tactic that everyone does. And I think it's a tactic that people should, implement and activate immediately, and don't be afraid to do it.
Awesome. Handwritten. So you guys have to still have one of these type of things. Everything can't be like electronic. And and what is the community give back that you're doing or that you want to do in the future?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for reminding me. So our Common Purpose Common Purpose collection, I don't have them readily next to me. I'm so sorry. But the Common Purpose collection was initially designed to encourage people to vote in the upcoming 2020 presidential election. I, was not feeling totally confident in it, and I kept pushing it back. And then once COVID hit, I kind of realized we have, such a common purpose now. It is really important and imperative that we all be kind and be thinking about each other, not just ourselves and our community. We have a common purpose, a unity of intention to allow us to, hopefully get through and pass this COVID-19 situation. And I launched it in April, and we've received such a great response from it. Really just kind of emotional and moving to see so many people participating in this. But we're giving a portion of the proceeds to the World Central Kitchen, which I haven't checked as of this morning, but I think it's like upwards of maybe close to 15 or 20 million real meals have been given to actual people. It's run by, I can't think of his name right now. My gosh, the celebrity chef that, he's much more of a humanitarian than he is a celebrity, but.
Okay, so it's not Gordon Ramsay then.
No. It'll come to me. I'm so sorry. I can't.
People can look it up. Look it up. It gives their mind something to go. Yeah. No worries.
But so it's been awesome to partner with them and to be able to give it a portion of our proceeds, knowing that we are helping real people. It's not going to overhead. It's not going to pay hundreds of people in offices. Our portion of the proceeds are actually going to make and create meals for real people who are needing them in this dire time.
That is awesome. And I don't want to give the people a game overload, because you've given a very inspiring story that many folks, they'll have an idea, but they could take the pieces from this and say, wait, as long as I put in the work, sounds like I could do this too. And folks, you can do it too. Now you might need to go to, and contact her for the marketing and every other thing, because she's already, she might have a package for you in a box. So you might have to go to one business so you can get your business that looks like districtofclothing.com. But I thank you for coming on. And if there's any last words you want to say, feel free.
Yeah, I just want to circle back. So the portion of the proceeds from the Common Purpose collection are going to the World Central Kitchen, which is run by Jose Andres. So I sincerely apologize for not remembering that earlier. I want to thank you so much for having me on. I hope that anyone listening to this just feels encouraged and inspired to know that if you have an idea, that idea is yours and you can very much bring it to fruition. I think that if we start with small steps and we just keep taking steps, before you know it, you could be on the next Diversified Game podcast and, encouraging someone else to move forward too. And I think that it is really important that as, women, young men, people of color, that we think of ways to multiply our income streams and we allow ourselves to, have a diversified game to allow us to continue moving forward and allow us to be able to compete in different ways. So I say, if you can start a business, I also don't think that you need, a lot of money to do it. But you can it's okay to start small. Whatever your idea is, just move forward with it. We all were born with, wings to fly and fins to swim. And this is a time when we just need to be able to keep moving forward so that we can keep moving forward.
Amen. Amen. You guys have gotten the game. I want you to make sure you like, share, subscribe subscribe, share it with someone so they can be inspired too. And y'all be blessed.
Yes, and follow us at districtofclothing.com.